Every new technology, every idea starts with a spark. But it's exploration and grit that fuel the fire. Ideas don't really end, they evolve. Discovery goes on.
So keep going. Because you're not only the thinkers, you're also the doers. You challenge the challenges. It isn't easy, but it's worth it.
Yes, timelines are short. Resources are limited. Communication is changing all around us. There will always be obstacles, but you go over, under, through.
And no matter what it takes, you get it done. By changing the way you think, the way you build, the tools and technology you use.
Don't wait for the future. Define it. Break ground. Build lean. Change the skyline. And never stop. Because in 100 years, people will write about this time. Will you be proud of what you built?
What if now is the time for even more momentum? What if anything really is possible? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Bluebeam's President and CEO, Richard Lee.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Bluebeam eXtreme Conference, Day 2. It's been really exciting so far. Yesterday was a pretty phenomenal day. Really enjoyed the presentations I got to sit in, so thank you, all of you, for being a part of that. Also, that skills challenge last night, how awesome was that? I think Don and I found our replacements with Chris and Luke. They'll be doing the keynote next year. I don't think we have that much humor, Don and I. Let's get started with a few thank yous to some really important folks. Our sponsors have done a wonderful job in helping us pull this off. And as many of you know who've been with us throughout the years, the conference is always growing, and I think we double the size every year, so it becomes something that takes a village to accomplish. So our sponsors have been really, really helpful in making that happen, so please thank them for us. Also, we have a record number of speakers this year. There are 36 folks involved on our panels and speaking sessions, so it's been pretty amazing to see what stories they have to tell, sharing their experiences and best practices. Hopefully all of you are having a chance to sit in on those as well. I know I learn a great deal every time I sit in on one of those sessions, so it's been really exciting for me. All right, so over the last day, and actually even before that, a lot of you have asked, so what do we have to talk about this year, and what have we been doing since the beginning of the year, since the launch of Review 2015? There's been quite a few things that we've been working on. I'd like to bring up our CTO. Many of you know Don Jacob personally, the man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get into 2015.5.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the things.
Sure.
Okay, 2015.5. With 2015.5, one of the things we've built on, starting in 2015, we added batch processing capabilities with slip sheeting, overlaying, comparing documents. And we kept the theme of automation going with this time with JavaScript. And what we're actually showing, a video on the right-hand side, is an example as to what you can do with JavaScript. Here, there's a PDF file, that's form-based PDF file, that's with JavaScript in real time connecting to a government website that has material information, pulling all that information into a drop-down dynamically, and loading the PDF file. So really taking that automation integration with other systems to the next level with that. This afternoon and tomorrow, Peter, one of our senior system architects, is actually giving a great presentation on JavaScript. and talking about a lot of the enhancements that we made with 2015, so 2015.5. So I highly encourage you to check that out. It's a really meaty, good presentation. Next, compatibility. With 2015.5, we did a major overhaul of the Office interface for creating PDF files. So the plugins to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, we've swapped out the engine, and we're getting a lot better results, and we've, we haven't spent time on that in a while, so it's nice to be able to get back to that and get an update with that in 2015.5. Also with this release, with Revit and Navisworks 2016, this release will include compatibility with that. And finally, with our partnership, the support of our partnership with Panasonic, we've made a number of improvements to our East Asian language handling throughout Review. So all this will be shipping in Review 2015.5, August 17th, so it's coming up pretty soon. Cool. All right, so Mac. Let's talk about Mac. We are diligently working on Mac. We have been continuing throughout 2015 with the Beta 1, incorporating your feedback and aggressively adding features throughout the different refreshes to Beta 1. We have a beta program of 1,500 applicants, 700 active participants in that, and we are doing our best to get all your feedback and incorporate it into each different beta refresh that we do. Beta 2 will be coming up, and next with that is support for studio sessions. So be on the lookout for that. We're pretty excited to be bringing that out.
Yeah, just as a comment on the Mac release, we release everything in beta now so that all of you have access to it. So there's no charge. Jump into the beta program, download it, use it, give us your feedback. As Don was saying, we are incorporating as much as we can, as fast as we can. And if you took a close look at that interface, it's getting really close to looking like Review on the Windows platform. So we're doing our best. We've got 12 years to catch up to, but jump in. It's the water's warm.
Okay, and finally with an iPad, we'll show, next slide here, been spending a lot of work on Document Manager 2.0. So we heard your feedback and need a better way to be able to interact with all the files that are on that iPad. So spent a lot of time revamping the Document Manager, redoing the entire interface. So being able to search and sort across all the different files, having that full screen mode, so it's not a panel on the side, but you have the full real estate of the iPad to be able to look at that is another thing that we've added. And then improved syncing and offline mode have all been rolled into that. Look for that in Q4 of 2015. Cool. And that's it from a product update.
Are you sure?
I think there's one more thing.
I feel like we worked on something for
one
maybe
more
about
thing.
10 years.
It's probably more like 12 years.
More 12 years. Don and I are happy to announce, after 12 years, open license. Many of you asked for concurrent licensing. Actually, it's funny, when we first started the company, concurrent licensing was one of those big questions. How do we share licenses? How do we manage this on a different model other than perpetual licensing? So we're finally releasing this. So the theme is we eventually get to things. It may take us 10 years or 12, but we'll eventually get there. It's a pretty phenomenal model. It uses our servers. It's quite easy to maintain. And for those of you who want to use that model, please do. Open license is actually quite fun to use. The other thing you should know is that the perpetual licensing model doesn't go away. It's just another option. At Bluebeam, we've always believed that you should have a choice as to how you want to best manage the things that you do, both from products and licensing. So this is just another addition to the licensing models we have. Feel free to talk to our account services folks. They're all over the place, and they could tell you more.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I'm going to excuse myself for a moment.
Just leave me up here by myself to take the hits directly. So let's get back to the theme of this conference. It's always been about innovation. And as you can see from the introductory video, we've always looked at perspectives as a way to think about how do we innovate with technology? How do we look at the world just a little bit differently? I was talking to Sasha the other day, and she's like, sometimes looking at things just left of center, I think maybe right of center, works just as well. And the idea is to polarize the world so that you can inspire change. So innovation is something that we as a company, it's near and dear to our hearts. At the core of that is this belief that anything is possible. And in order to innovate and to challenge the norms, you have to believe that there's nothing that stands in your way from achieving that goal. So you set the goal and you achieve it. And we inherently, all of our employees know this when they onboard with us, always ask the question, what if? What if you did it differently? What if you looked at it as if the problem were, flipped on its end? And that's the only way you can actually change something, because if status quo is good enough, then you'll never look for that opportunity. So over time, we've shared a lot of different things and a lot of perspectives. A few years ago, I talked about how we are a reflection of all of you. We look at your workflows, we look at the things that you do, and try to understand inherently what it is that challenges you day to day, so that we can be a part of that community, part of that workflow, and then change and inspire innovations with you. So that was something a few years ago we talked about. A couple years ago, we talked about, I'll say, convergence. And that was, for those of you who were here, the big giant globe with all of these sparks coming out. And the idea is simply that there is a time and a place where the resources, the problems, the technology, the challenges all come together and they coalesce into an idea that sparks something. And that something is seemingly accidental, but it's really the appropriate time for things to happen. You'll find that, for those of you who know me, I'm probably 30% philosopher, 30% technologist, and 30% unreasonable boss. We can go through perspectives. I think my employees think that, well, we're probably 80% unreasonable boss and 20% the former two. But the idea is that it should exist the way it exists at the time. And so instead of looking for those ideas to happen, just know that they will, and just be ready for them. Last year, I spent a lot of time talking about software as art. And the intent of that was to share this idea that software or technology or innovation is really designed. And it's designed not to be standalone on its own, but designed to be interpreted, which means that there's a natural interaction between you, the user of that innovation, and us, I'll say, as the designers of that innovation. So always keep that in mind, because the innovation should not be static. The innovation is really a relationship that you have, an experience that you have with the technology itself. This image it's a favorite image of mine. Some of you may have seen the young woman facing away from you. Others may have seen an older woman facing towards you. The first time I saw this, I thought it was a peacock. I actually wasn't sure what it was. So talk about perspectives. So this year, we have another perspective to share with you, and that's innovation through extension. And this is a very simple idea. We at Bluebeam can't do this on our own, and we've never believed we could, which is why all of you are here. We've always invited you into the process. We have pre-eXtreme meetings where we kind of share a lot of ideas with you, and you definitely overshare sometimes. I'm looking at you, Todd. Too many ideas. The list is long. So those are the kind of things that we truly appreciate. And this concept of extension is really making all of you a part of this community so that we can innovate together. All right, so what does this really mean? It means that we are announcing today Studio Prime. Studio Prime is something that we took the best of Studio and decided that it needed to be more enterprise ready. And the way to think about this is that we wanted to accomplish a couple things. First of all of you are collaborating. All of you are leveraging Studio in different ways. But we wanted to make sure that it had all the features that you wanted and more. So we took what we were doing with Studio in the cloud. We took what we were doing with our on-premise Studio Enterprise. And then we threw the Q processing engine behind it. So we created Studio Prime. So it's really, really exciting for us to do this. You can now manage your users online, your projects, your sessions. In the back end, you'll see folder automations. Folder automations means that you can start to automate a lot of the processing in the back end to simplify how you're going to use it in the field on the front end. So all of that is going to be taken care of for you. You'll see right below that integrations. That is the key aspect of Studio Prime, which is we're also announcing the Studio API. For those of you, I was actually in a presentation the other day looking for better ways to integrate your back-end systems or other systems with Studio so that now all of the information travels seamlessly between one system to the other. We're now releasing Studio API through our development network. So it'll actually be really, really exciting to see where you take this. But instead of continue to talk about all the things that we can do, how about we show you? I'm excited to bring up to the stage CMIC. Oliver, take it away.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, as you know, I'm Oliver from CMIC. Today I'm going to be presenting on the next evolution of the CMIC Bluebeam integration. Essentially what we've done is we have started using a new release of Bluebeam Studio called Studio API. And what we're able to do is we're actually able to provide better interoperability through the integration. This integration involves people, devices, organizations exchanging critical information in real time during business processes. CMIC believes that innovation cannot be done in a silo. It needs to be done with partners. And the strategy we've evolved essentially is using an augment, build, and combine approach with Bluebeam in order to deliver the technologies of the future. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you a short video of who CMIC is and why Bluebeam pairs perfectly with the CMIC offering.
CMIC is the central nervous system to your business's critical data. While others suffer from inefficiencies, CMIC has been a key integrator of Bluebeam to make the construction site a place of operational harmony and cohesion. CMIC is the leading provider of complete, integrated, and advanced enterprise-level software solutions for construction and capital projects. For over 4 decades, CMIC has partnered with the largest and most technologically progressive AEC firms and capital project owners in North America. Our software integrates all departments and functions onto a single, scalable database, allowing information to be transmitted across the enterprise and eliminating the need for duplicate data entry. CMIC clients encompass 20% of ENR's top 400 contractors, and to date, 1 in every 6 construction dollars run on CMIC software. We continue to be a market leader and expert in our industry. Some clients include Whiting Turner, Gilbane, and J.E. Dunn, to name a few. As for Bluebeam software, well, you know who they are. They are the best-in-class digital collaboration solution you've all come to know and love. Aimed at enabling workflows from design review to closeout, they are focused on allowing you to work without limits. This integration brings 2 construction industry leaders together to create a better approach for digital document management using the strictest security standards around data protection and encryption that construction enterprises around the world have come to trust. CMIC and Bluebeam Studio integration continue a long trend of providing cutting-edge and innovative solutions. This integration has extended the CMIC enterprise and cloud offerings to provide real-time document coordination and design review.
All right, so I'm just going to go into a brief explanation of how we were able to adapt the Bluebeam Studio API to actually facilitate collaborative document reviews. So as you can see, the whole idea behind the integration is seamlessly exchanging data between the 2 systems. CMIC, as you know, has a proficiency in back-end solutions. Bluebeam is actually a leader in the industry for document markups, and we want to leverage both of them. So what we did is we tapped into Bluebeam's API in order to seamlessly exchange data. As you can see from the CMIC side of the house, we believe that a document review process involves 2 things: documents and collaborators or project stakeholders. We're able to programmatically send that information over to the Bluebeam system to establish a studio session. Most of you are familiar with Bluebeam's studio session capabilities. It allows real-time collaboration from anywhere around the world, either in the concurrent manner, or you can do this asynchronously. Bluebeam then sends us a studio information. At the end of that session, when the session is closed, the marked up documents are returned to CMIC. We then unpackage those documents, put it into our document control system, and automatically creates a revision to those documents for you. In addition to that, audibility is very important in these processes. We then extract a document from Bluebeam's website that actually allows us to give you a chronological order of the actions that took place, should you need it for later reference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly walk you through a case study of a submittal. And everybody knows that a submittal essentially is a document or a mechanism for verifying that the correct products and quantities will be delivered or installed within a project. We support this natively. What we also support is documents linked to submittals. And as you can see, this is a series of documents that are actually part of this submittal. The whole idea behind this is we're going to go through a collaboration process where these documents are going to go into a review cycle. To do this, we've built out a new set of interfaces. And these interfaces are very simple, very straightforward, and intuitive to use. Essentially, what a user does is they come into the system, they select a bunch of users or project contacts. So I'm just going to walk you through the next set of slides to show you the user picking project contacts. And essentially, they're going through the picking process, so they've established that. The next step in the process is pretty straightforward. You identify the documents that you want to be as part of the review process. Select the documents, and you're done. At this point, you simply hit a button, and it establishes a studio session. What we then do from a technology perspective, or programmatically, as they say, is we take that information and we store it within our database. If you pay close attention to the Attachments tab, you'll see that a studio session is now established, and we're able to allow users to access that session. The beauty of APIs is we don't have to write everything. We make certain calls, and as part of those calls, we get things done for us. One of those things that the Studio APIs allows us to do is to actually send an email out to the collaborators to say, hey, you are now invited to a studio session. And with that, they simply click on a link in the email. From the link to the email, authentication is important, so you will authenticate into Studio. This is a secure process. Security is a major concern to us. And once you're in that session, now you can collaborate in real time. Everybody does this. So essentially, the changes that I make reflects in real time to the person who's collaborating, either in the seat beside me or in another part of the country. It's a great piece of technology. This is the future of document collaboration with a back-end cost management system like CMIC. After you go through the markup process, you finalize the document, you get all your questions answered, you do your bubbling, you do your markups, your callouts, your standard Bluebeam operation. And what then happens is when you close the session, those documents are then returned back to CMIC, they're put into our document repository, a revision is established, so you can actually see the original document that was sent to Bluebeam and the finalized version that actually came back from the Bluebeam session that is within our ECM repository. The benefits of the solution, we are a unified database solution, so a single source of truth for data and documents is established. You're not looking in two places. We have a saying that if it doesn't exist in CMIC, then it doesn't exist. So that gives us that standard stuff, increased efficiencies, reduced costs, anytime concurrent and asynchronous collaboration. And with this process, users do have the ability to collaborate with the free Bluebeam viewer. As you guys know, CMIC has been the backbone or the nervous system of the construction industry. We have extended that using the Bluebeam API, and now through the extension of the API, we're allowing our clients and organizations to actually do open collaboration using the CMIC and the Bluebeam platform. Together, we believe that we have taken interoperability to a new level. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Oliver, for that. That's really exciting. So part of this is just to give you an example of how you can take something very complex, your back-end ERP system, and bring it right to the forefront by tying it to a field solution. So now information can travel seamlessly. There's more transparency. There's better communication and use of data. So that is something that the Studio API allows you to do. But what if you wanted to take it even further? Instead of going to the backside, how about the front? How about we look at pushing it into the field further and utilizing mobility and mobile devices as kind of your main input. So I'd like to introduce Field Lens and Doug Chambers, but before he comes up, how about we go ahead and roll the tape?
Good morning, Bluebeamers. I am so excited to be here today. First of all, thanks to all of you for creating this incredible time to be part of the construction industry. It's your innovation, it's what you folks are doing out there that makes this so much fun to be a part of. Also, thank you to Bluebeam for allowing us to be part of this incredible event. I'm just honored to be here. So, I'm going to tell you about FieldLens today. I'm going to tell you about a really amazing integration that we've built with Bluebeam. But before I do, I just want to give you a little bit of context around me and around FieldLens. So I'm no different than all of you. I was a project manager for the better part of 10 years. I worked on really large jobs, core and shell projects, and lots of small jobs as well. Retail, data centers, commercial interiors. I always joke that the only difference between the big jobs and the little jobs is zeros. Zeros on the contract values, right? It's the same problems, it's the same collaboration issues, it's the same headaches, it's the same issues with communication. Quite frankly, communication in our industry, it's broken. Emails, text messages, voicemail inboxes that are filled, daily reports, meeting minutes, agendas, piles of paper, all these balls in the air, really, really difficult to manage. So I decided a couple of years ago that I want to fix it. And that's what FieldLens is. FieldLens was created to solve one massive problem in the industry, communication. And the way we do that is we focus on the folks that we think matter most, the folks in the field, your superintendents, your foremen, your project managers, the people that are walking the job every day and literally have 100 balls in the air, and they need to catch all of them every single day. We give them a tool that allows them to collect everything that's happening all around them as it's happening and immediately communicate with everyone they need to communicate with. That could be the office. That could be other contractors on the job. It could be the design team. It could be the owner. And the greatest thing about FieldLens is that it doesn't matter who around you is using it. FieldLens users can communicate with anybody, regardless of whether or not they even know what FieldLens is. At the end of the day, your supers, your foremen, they will love you because they will press one button and their daily report is done. You'll receive a daily report like you've never seen before. So, if we're going to be uber focused on solving the communication breakdowns in the construction industry, that means that we have to partner with other people who are uber focused on solving other massive problems in the construction industry. That's why today, I am very proud to announce that we have integrated our product with Bluebeam and the new API to create magic. So now, you can take your linked set of Bluebeam documents, bring them into the FieldLens environment, all the links work automatically. The files get immediately distributed out to everybody that's using FieldLens on the project, regardless of whether they're on an Android phone, an iPhone, an iPad, or of course on the web. You can do this in one of two ways. You can use our FieldLens desktop uploader tool, which will sync to any file directory on your local machine or on a shared network drive, and will grab those documents automatically, process revision history, and again, make the links just work. Or soon, you'll be able to use the direct API connection, do your work in Bluebeam, and bam, it just happens inside of FieldLens. So yes, we didn't try to build our own link automation system like Bluebeam has built, because again, we are focused on solving the communication breakdowns that we all struggle with. So what we did focus on was building interoperability such that the great things that Bluebeam does just work inside of FieldLens. And then what happens is you can use FieldLens to communicate in context of the construction drawings. And that's powerful. The ability to communicate on top of the drawings essentially creates a live layer of communication. All the things that are happening live on top of the drawings, as you communicate, the devices are updating in real time. So that could be on the web, it could be on mobile. And again, it's not just about managing punch list issues or managing a safety walk. It's about collecting everything that's happening all day long and immediately distributing it to anybody that needs to know. So here's the thing. When you start capturing everything, when you empower your field leaders the ability to capture everything that's happening around them, well, more magic. And we have some proof. So we've just dipped our toe in the waters of starting to analyze the data that you all collect in the field by using FieldLens. So here's an example of that. So we worked with Rogers O'Brien on a project in San Antonio, Forest Park Medical Center. It's a high-end hospital, very, very aggressive build out. I believe it was 14 months from pushing dirt around to patients in beds. And it's a nice hospital. I joked to Todd that the next time I'm in San Antonio, I'm just gonna get a procedure done. I'm not gonna stay in a hotel. This place is nice. But here's the thing. We pulled all the data out of Fieldlens, we did some analysis, and we did some visualizations in Navisworks that we're gonna show you in a second. But what we also did was, we wanted to talk to the superintendent that built this job. Let's get the anecdotal evidence, let's get the story, and see if we can marry it up to the data. And the first thing that superintendent said when we talked to him was, guys, yeah, the Texas superintendent had a New York accent apparently. Guys, why don't we buy a level 5 on that job? Now, I know you've all been there. You've all been there for the argument on the level 5 versus the level 4. The owner doesn't want to pay for a level 5 finish. The finish contractors are telling you you need a level 5 finish. Well, Rogers O'Brien's not going to have that argument anymore. Because inside of Fieldlens, their staff collected 1,311 level 5 issues throughout the project. So we went to the painter on the job and we said, can you give us a cost per issue, just an estimate? He said $25 per issue. I laughed at that because in New York we can't get a painter out of bed for $25. Regardless, at $25 an issue, it was twice as expensive to repair all the level 5 issues that were documented throughout the project as it would have been to have just bought the alternate. And of course, it's not just about that direct cost, it's about the impact. What you're watching right now are all of the issues as they were created in real time throughout the project, and a literal explosion of painting issues throughout the project. And now you can visualize it. You can see where it happened. You can see the hot spots on the job. So again, this is just one very small example of what happens when you start to collect all of this information in the field. But this is where all of this goes. We can begin to truly build smarter and to stop making the mistakes of the past. So if I haven't mentioned it, I am very excited about this integration with Bluebeam, taking the best of what they've built, the best document management system in the universe, and integrating it with the best communication platform in the universe. And you're watching some of that right now. Again, this live layer of communication that happens in Fieldlens, all of the links from Bluebeam working within Fieldlens, it's a very powerful combination. So think about this. And again, you're just watching some live demos, and you can come see this live in our booth later. But think about a scenario where your superintendents are walking the job, and instead of waiting for a daily report at the end of the day, or the end of the week, or whenever it gets to you, you're actually watching them in real time. They're updating items on their mobile device, and you're seeing them pop up on the drawings, whether on your phone, on the computer. You're sitting in the office, and you're on the walk with them in real time. This is not a fantasy. This is real, right now. This exists, and you can all use it, and you can all benefit from it, and I can't wait to see where you take this with us. So again, thank you, Bluebeam, for allowing us to be here and for providing your amazing technology to us to add value to it. Thanks to all of you for just making this an incredible event and making this an incredible time to be in the industry. Come check it out at our booth, hang out in on the job site, or in the backyard. We do believe time is money at Fieldlens, and we try to save you a little bit of time so you can go home perhaps a little bit early and enjoy yourself. Thanks again.
Thanks, Doug. That's pretty amazing. So when we first saw that technology in New York, we thought, you know what, this is something that we need to bring to all of you. At Bluebeam, we've always felt that making sure that you have the best tools accessible is really important. So when we see technology we think is innovative and inspiring, it is our responsibility to make sure you're aware of it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But not to be outdone by our partners, let me bring Don back on to the stage and share with you some of the things that we've been working on internally. Because sometimes when you think about the API, it sounds like, well, this black box, it's a little magic somewhere in there. But it's really not that. So we asked some of our folks in the company to see what they can put together, and Don will cover that with you now.
Yeah, and it is exciting to see our friends at CMIC and Fieldlens and what they've done with this. And Review and Studio as applications that allow you to get your job done quicker is really, that's what we've been focused on for the past 10 years, but now is, looking as Studio as a system that allows collaborating and sharing of information. We see it's a really new, exciting new time for Bluebeam. So to prove that out, we've had our professional services team do some reference integrations and see, what can you do with this? And I wanted to play a quick video highlighting Omar and an integration he has done with Box and Studio.
The Box element of this integration is entirely interchangeable with the file sharing system of your choice, whether that be Microsoft's OneDrive, Google Drive, ShareFile, Dropbox, SharePoint, or even a network drive. In this sample application, I will select a Studio project and a Box folder to keep in sync. As my architect uploads his latest set of approved plans to Box, the application will automatically replicate them to the selected Studio project in the same folder location. If the file already exists, it will be added as a new revision of that file in the Studio project. They will then be instantly available to my project team so that I know my guys in the field are working on the latest document set and leveraging the power of Studio Go.
Now, Omar and Stuart Tamuto, immediately following the keynote, are going to be giving a talk and showing off a couple of other integrations that they've done with Studio Enterprise and the API, and I highly recommend that you check that out. There's some really cool things here. Now, next one to talk about possibilities. So recently we had a number of hackathons that we had our developers, and we said, let's look at the possibilities. What are some of the things that you could do with Studio? And as a result of a couple of these, we made a summary video showing some of the things that they've done. So why don't we roll that?
Hi, my name is Bruno.
And my name is Christy. We built a small application that will make use of our Studio Public API and will simulate a QA/QC process on a Studio project folder. So I set up a project in Studio, and I'm going to upload 2 files to it. So once the files are uploaded, what's going to happen, the application that we developed is going to check constantly for files in the test project. For each file, we are going to check if there are markups in that file. If there are markups, we are going to stamp the file and move it into the OK folder. If there are no markups detected, the file is going to be stamped with for review and moved into the bad folder. So let me sync the project folder. So as we can see, the files were processed. The file with a markup in it was stamped with the approved stamp and moved into the OK folder. The file without markups was stamped with a for review stamp and moved into the bad folder.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created an iPhone app that uses the Studio API to send and receive chats in a session. With this app, I can use speech-to-text to send a text message to the session record. Check doorway for proper clearance.
Woohoo!
I am Peter.
I'm Jonathan.
And we created an iPhone app
Written in Swift
that interfaces with iBeacons to detect when someone enters a room, then we record it in Studio.
All right, so we have 4 iBeacons set up in this room, 1 on each wall, to be able to detect when Peter enters and leaves the room. And in a Studio session, you'll be able to see in the record panel when Peter enters the room, and also on his iPhone, there'll be an indication when he enters and leaves the room.
Now, I like to tinker, and so I threw my hat in the ring. And here we have a little device called the Raspberry Pi, and it's connected to a temperature and humidity sensor, and it's connected onto a network, $35 computer. And this connects onto the network into Studio. And here I've gone into a Studio session. And once I join, I'm going to open up a little command window on that little computer and run this command that'll take the temperature and humidity. and report it right into a studio session in the chat record. So it's really pretty exciting when you start to see and think about the sort of integrations that you can have between all sorts of different devices, between the API and Studio. So.
Great. Thanks, Don. That's pretty exciting stuff. Now all of us will know exactly how hot it is when we're out in the field. The guys in the office will be like, wow, it's hot out there. Too bad for you. Anyway, so this is just a showcase of the Studio API and the software technology and what we can do with software. But really bringing best-in-class technology isn't just about software. It's about looking at hardware technologies as well and seeing what you can do, what the possibilities are when you take incredible software, incredible hardware, and blend them together to create an experience that's truly unique and unusual and different, and it does everything you ever want it to do. I'm kind of selling it a little bit. A lot, but you know, it does everything. Don and I are very excited to have Microsoft joining us here and presenting some of the things that we've worked on together with the Surface Pro 3. Pete, take it away.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for being here and Bluebeam for having me here. The excitement's contagious. I think about what I'm going to say when I get up here and how excited I am to be here, and it seems like it's a general theme. But I'm super pumped up specifically about two things. One is a little bit different. I'm here to talk to you about how we build and design hardware. And I do this talk to different kinds of audience, but today it's exciting because I get to talk to people who build and design things for a living. So I think that we can relate a little bit when it comes to that. And the second thing is talking about the magic or what can happen when great hardware and great software come together and what that does to set the stage to get more stuff done. Some background first. See if we get the clicker working. A little bit about myself. I've been designing and building products for all of my career, mostly in the consumer electronics industry. I've been at Microsoft in the Surface team for over 8 years. But prior to that, I spent some time in real estate development. So I have a little bit of experience and appreciation for the work that all of you guys do in the industry that you're in. I worked for a small team here in LA, actually, building charter schools, mostly for Green Dot, which is literally in the building next door. And one of our biggest projects was a 77,000 square foot facility in South LA. We took 2 manufacturing facilities and converted them into a high school for Green Dot. So doing this has given me the experience that when I saw the Bluebeam software for the first time, really connected and really resonated. And so that's what led to a relationship between Surface and Bluebeam. Not so much the introduction. I didn't know about Bluebeam when I was doing that project back then. And we first heard about Bluebeam from Marcus on our team, who was working with some architects on the East Coast. And they swore by it. So they had their Surface Pros, and they talked about Bluebeam and what they do with the pen and the device. And that started to get the introduction going. So we met with the Bluebeam team, and we started to learn more about them. And aside from the fact that we're both in the tech industry, we both love our devices, we found something in our DNAs that truly resonated. It's a funny story, actually. At Surface, we have a saying, we build the most productive devices on the planet, but internally we say we help people get stuff done. Sometimes stuff is switched out for a 4-letter word, but you understand what I'm saying. And so we get stuff done. And so when we met with Sasha and the Bluebeam team, we started talking and saying, yeah, aside from all this stuff, we just want people to be productive. We don't make toys. We don't make Netflix movie watchers. We make devices that get stuff done. And her eyes kind of lit up, and Don's eyes lit up, and they said, wait a second. That's our motto. You guys can't use it. And we said, what are you talking about? And they said, yeah, internally down in Pasadena at our offices, we walk around saying that Bluebeam helps people get stuff done. And so they proved their point, and they one-upped us and said, yeah, we have T-shirts, and they say Bluebeam and get stuff done on the back. But it was at that point we started to see the innovation and the mottos and just the DNA of the Surface group and the Bluebeam team were really resonated with each other. And so that got the teams working, and then we really saw what Bluebeam was doing. We saw what they were doing to take our hardware and light up their software on our device. And I'll talk about that a little bit here. And so we talk about getting stuff done and being productive. And you'll see people, and you'll see there's a booth outside with Surface devices in terms of what a Surface device can do to help you get stuff done. What do we do when we design hardware at Microsoft and the Surface team? We don't take credit. We're not going to do a be-all, end-all device. But what we like to talk about is our hardware is a stage for software. Much like this stage here, it's only as good as building it up and having it there, and then letting software people come in and light up what it does. And so we look at the hardware, we look at our Surface devices, and then we say the software has to run on this device, and it has to really light up the features of what we have. And so we work closely with all of our software partners to make sure the devices we build really meet our end customer needs. And so, give you a little bit of history about Surface and the Surface Pro line specifically. This has been my baby from cardboard inception to the Surface Pro 3 that you see today. And when we started out, we said we were going to put an Intel Core processor in a tablet. People told us we were crazy. They actually called us stupid. They said, no one's going to ever want to buy a thick and heavy tablet. No one's going to ever want to buy a tablet with a fan in it. And what you're trying to do is impossible. We were like, awesome, bring it. That's what we do. We have an awesome engineering team up in Redmond. And this team is fantastic. And similar to engineering work in your field, right? We have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, thermal engineers, a lot of software guys. But they all work on system trade-offs and designs that make a piece of hardware come together. Layout, floor plans, what are the right design trade-offs to make this thing happen? And every time someone tells us something's impossible, we take it as a challenge. We try to make it possible. So we launched Surface Pro 1 and made it into Surface Pro 2. We started listening to our customers. And they were telling us what they needed. And our customers were talking to us, and we listened and heard what they were saying. But we had some other customers, too. Our mechanical engineering team internally started using Surface Pro 2 to design Surface Pro 3. And they were using Bluebeam software. So think about that. They're running CAD programs, doing all of their drawings, all of their releases internally on a computer they built, designing the next generation of that computer. It's pretty fantastic, and it taught us about the processing power that comes with the Surface Pro. This is an example of one of the hinge drawings that our mechanical engineering team had, communicating with people in Asia and marking up their drawings. And so in listening to our customers, we said, what is it that you want? Those moderate success with Surface Pro 2, they asked for something that was a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, but bigger. And anyone who's taken a physics class knows that's a complete contradiction to make something bigger and lighter. But we did it. We took on the challenge. And so from Surface Pro 2, we came up with Surface Pro 3. We went from 13.5 millimeters down to 9.1 millimeters, which is a tremendous improvement. We did that all the while we increased the screen size. We went from 10.6 inches all the way up to 12 inches, so extended the screen real estate to give more working space for our users. That real estate is important for us too because it's a 3x2 format. I'm getting into the nitty details of hardware development here, but screens aren't made in 3x2 typically. Old TVs 4x3, new TVs 16:9. Why did we choose 3.2? We wanted something that when it was in clipboard mode, most accurately represented a pad of paper or a clipboard for that writing experience. We're using it as a tablet. And so we have Surface Pro 3. Surface Pro 2 is over 2 pounds. We have managed to make this one lighter, 1.75 pounds. We improved battery life, and we improved the performance on the device. So let me talk to you a little bit about the inside of what's going on here and the performance inside of a Surface Pro. That processor that I talked about, the Intel Core processor, is the same processor that's essentially in every laptop today. We managed to put that processor inside of a 9.1 millimeter chassis and use our thermal team came up with a fan solution, perimeter venting, to take the power of that processor and let it light up the screen. So what you see here is the inside of a Surface Pro 3, over 100 custom parts. So it's not like we go to the local electronics mart, find a battery, find a component, find a fan. Everything you see here is custom design. Much like if you're doing a steel staircase on a big construction project, it's a custom steel that gets delivered on a truck. Everything we do is custom. The only difference is here is that we had to flip a switch to make it manufacturable, get to 1 million plus. And so that Intel Core processor is probably one of the devices that's not custom. We work closely with Intel to make sure that our devices are powerful from a graphics and a compute perspective. And so what you see here is a close-up of the actual fan inside of our device running closely with the Intel processor. And so the stack up here is what gives us the ability to run all of our processing power. Another one of our custom parts is our mechanical hinge. Our mechanical team is pretty innovative in what they do. And the full friction hinge on the Pro 3 is something new and industry leading. Having a kickstand on our device leads to extra weight, extra thickness, but it's something that we've chosen as a design trade-off to add so that you're able to go from tablet to laptop mode by simply flipping out the kickstand and adding a keyboard. The true innovation, though, in our products as a display, I talked about our displays being custom in terms of size, but they're also custom in terms of the technology that goes into them, the colors, the accuracy, and then the sensing that the display can do. Our displays are sensitive to touch, obviously. We're all used to that today, our phones, our tablets. In addition, on these devices, we also have an accurate pen. And so our pen is an active stylus. It's got a battery in it. And combined with our screen, you get sub-millimeter accuracy with your pen. So this is not an extension of your finger. This is actually a digital pen that gives you true ink. We have Gorilla Glass on our product. It's the thinnest Gorilla Glass in industry, 0.5 millimeters. What does that do? It brings the tip of the pen closer to the screen so you get true accuracy when you're writing with a pen, again, mimicking that pen and paper feel. And so we have a tablet, we have a clipboard, but we still have a full power computer. So you can take this device, walk up to your desk, using our docking station, hook up, and have a full extensible desktop solution in terms of what you're doing. That docking station gives you basically monitor output, gives you full pen, full keyboard and mouse extensibility, and extend your USB ports. So think about what's going on here. We've basically taken the PC, the old thing that used to sit on your desk, that turned into laptops, and then this generation of tablets that's come about, and combine them into one device. So those of you carrying a laptop and an iPad in your bag, this is going to combine those two devices. This is the tablet that can replace your laptop. I want to talk a little bit more about the pen capabilities and what it is, specifically when it comes to Bluebeam. We talked about what it means to have pen on device. There's tons of studies of how people using pen can get more done, retain more information, learn more, and get more work done, be more productive. When it comes to Bluebeam, we've seen people using our pen, specifically in the design challenge from last night. And so when we build our hardware and we finish our hardware, it's much like when you're getting ready to open up a building, right? You really don't know how people are going to use it. You don't know if the design trade-offs you made were right. You question it, and you sit back and watch. And so we're here, and we're working in Redmond, and we come down last night and see the skills challenge, and it lights up my heart. And it's a story I'm going to take back to the team out there in Redmond of how software can get created that really lights up the device. And I think back to my days of the construction project that I did, and thinking how the seamless integration of a desktop device, picking it up and going to the field is something I would have dreamed about back then. And running Bluebeam software on that, being at my desk with the accuracy of a mouse and a keyboard, laying out all of my plans, and then picking up that same device and being in a field, and running through any scenario in the field, having the mobility of that full processing in the field is something that would really make me more productive. And so what we have here is a punch list scenario that we can walk through. You've seen this drawing a few times. It's the sample drawing we've been using. But very quickly, running on a Surface Pro, you can be at your desk, mouse and keyboard, map out all your zones, name them, put the spaces, associate them, and then pick up your device and head out into the field. And so once you're headed out into the field, you can start to make your punch list. And you can walk actually the floor, and you can take advantage of having the device in your hand without having to transfer files. But let's talk about the magic of Bluebeam. What did they do? They took our hardware and said, what can it do? And dug deep into it, and then highlighted that. Specifically, one of the features they went after is something I like to call simultaneous pen and touch. So on most devices today where you're using capacitive stylus and you try to write on the screen, all it's doing is mimicking your finger. But with the active pen, what Bluebeam did is they're able to have simultaneous pen and touch, use your fingers for what they're for, pinching and zooming, navigating the screen, and then you take the pen and you can actually do true ink. And you don't have to switch back and forth. There's no poking at menus. There's no setting adjustments. There's just going on the screen and natively doing what you want to do, saving you time. And on their new release, this, I guess, August 17th, there's an auto detect function, so you don't have to go change the settings. Once the pen's in range, your Surface Pro knows, and it knows what you want to do with ink, and it knows what you want to do with pen. So this is the punch list, gets generated, saving you time. You go through the field, use a device, generate your punch list, and you're able to have basically a shortened workflow from the desk to the job site and back to the desk again. Remember that processing power we talked about, though? Putting full capability of the Intel processor and graphics into a tablet? This is an example that's done on Bluebeam. We pull in a 3D file, 3D PDF. You're able to transform, annotate, and modify the PDF and add it to your collaboration session using the processing power that's on the Surface Pro. No other tablet can do that. It's pretty amazing. So, like I said, at Surface, we like to build devices that help people get stuff done. we push the limits on technology and processing power in a light form factor. And we do the best we can to light up our software partners. But then we meet partners like Bluebeam that really add fuel to that fire and take the innovation to the next level. They've added some really cool features and tools that help you be more productive. And so now, we've taken the hardware and software as far as we can, and we look to you. And we ask you to see what you're going to do next. What are you going to do with the software and hardware tools in your hands to go out and be more productive? We have a booth set up outside. We have tons of Surface devices. If you have any questions, stop by. And if you've been using the Surface Pro and using Bluebeam, also stop by. We'd love for you to share your stories and talk to us about it. I want to take those back home with me and share them with our engineering team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete. That was an incredible presentation, very exciting. I think my takeaway will be that the Surface Pro engineering team was using Bluebeam software. That's awesome. How cool is that? No, really exciting stuff, and definitely go. All of them are here. And so visit all of them and find out more about their technologies. I think that would be wonderful. So I just want to leave you with just a couple more things. First thing is that we believe in innovation through extension. Here's a summary. We'll kind of go through that slide, but just in case you missed all of that, there's a lot of work that we did on our side with the Surface Pro 3 and making sure that it's kind of a seamless experience. So again, there are a lot of Surface Pro 3s out there for you to play with. Check out the new interface, make sure that you kind of get that feel, and have some fun with it. All right. So when we talk about extension and we talk about trying to innovate through the community, we wanted to make sure you had the right support. So over time, Bluebeam has done whatever we can to bring you closer to each other, strangely enough, like having really tight seats. So we have launched this year the Bluebeam user groups. And it's been really exciting for us to see how this is kind of evolving over time, and Kelly and her team are incredibly busy. But we are in a number of cities today. We've started these user groups to really allow you to have those discussions. So it's not even just about Bluebeam. A lot of you drive your own agendas. You want to talk about different challenges for the industry. So we have had user groups in Seattle, Chicago, Atlanta, and Phoenix. And over the next month or so, we are going to actually be in quite a few more cities between Kansas City, LA, Boston, and Dallas. So that'll be fun. And then by the end of the year, we're adding a few more cities. So all told, by the end of the year, I think we're going to have about 14 cities where we'll have user groups running. Hopefully you're in or near one of these cities and feel like joining in. But the real goal of these user groups is to make sure that you have access to each other so you can continue the discussion and challenge each other to really take it to the next level. I think sharing best practices is the way that the whole community can be lifted up, and we could actually learn quite a bit from each other, from this conference and the case studies that are presented, the panels, to just the ongoing discussion with each other. So to wrap up, I just want to leave you with just a simple thought. If you spend the next couple of days, the next month, the next few years, or a lifetime thinking that what if anything really is possible, meaning that you can challenge anything, that you can say that the status quo isn't good enough, that we can look at the world differently, we can accomplish anything we want, we can set the goal and get there. I think that that's something that you'll really enjoy that experience if you start to really think that way. Because at Bluebeam, we've always believed that anything truly is possible, that you can do whatever you want to do. And there's nothing better than really living on the edge of change. So take that to heart, spend some time on it. If you want to philosophize, feel free to track me down. I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. So thank you for your time, thank you for your imagination and your inspiration.